Welcome back to another episode of Investing Explained. Here's today's question.
I mean, this one's really easy for me. I've just been wrong so many times that I have to be open-minded at this point. How about you, Stig? Let me hear your response.
Oh, I've definitely been wrong at least as many times as you, Preston. One thing that I would like to take away from this discussion is what's your thought process whenever you start doubting yourself? And one thing that I think I've learned from studying all these billionaires is how you should see the advice, say the bear case, for someone who's bull and vice versa. Because those arguments that you will find from people who really believe something but still can pinpoint something and can go wrong, they're typically a lot more thoughtful. There's nothing more waste of time than if you meet someone who is saying, this is the best thing in the world. These are the 10 arguments why it's the best thing in the world, and there are no downside whatsoever. Chances that you can use the arguments for anything is probably not that high. So that's the first part of my response. The other thing about Warren Buffett and how he's talking about gold, I think Warren Buffett is very open-minded, but I think he's very open-minded in his own niche. This is equities. If you just think about, the story whenever he met Bill Gates, and Bill Gates talked about these amazing questions that he never got about his company from anyone else. Specifically, Buffett, asked the silver bullet question like, who's the biggest rival and why, and what they're doing better than you, or how much cash do you keep on the balance sheet and why do you keep that level of cash exactly, and what's your opportunity cost of that? So I think someone like Warren Buffett, yes, he is super, super open-minded, but you probably won't see him invest in Bitcoin or something else that he doesn't know anything about. Because I think he's also right that if you try to be a 5% expert in 20 different asset classes, you're probably not going to be successful in the first place.
One of the things that I think about a lot whenever I start developing a really strong opinion on something, and I feel like I'm kind of getting, in the military, we call it target fixation. And that's when you're flying a helicopter, you get so fixated on a target that you're coming down and you actually fly the aircraft into the target because you're so fixated on it. And so I think for a lot of people, whenever they invest, sometimes they get target fixation in maybe they think the market is going to go down and then they're right. And then they just keep piling into it. Or on the upside, they keep piling into it as it's going higher and higher and higher. And they get fixated on the fact that they're right. And they stop asking themselves, why am I wrong? Which goes back to the story of Ray Dalio. So we covered this whenever we talked about his book, but back in 1981, Ray Dalio literally lost everything. And let me tell you, up to that point, he was doing really well for himself. He was, a master at derivatives, and he was a master at commodities and currencies and things like that. And in 81, he had an opinion, and he stuck with that opinion. He basically had convinced himself that there was no way he could be wrong. And he was dead wrong, and he lost everything. And I think about that because when I think of people that are really smart out there, Dalio is definitely one of the top people on the list. And the thing that I remember distinctly from his book is him saying, I stopped asking myself why I'm right, and I started asking myself, why am I wrong? And having been wrong so many times in the market in different positions and things like that, that is one thing that I can honestly say I've developed a keen appreciation for, is always asking myself, okay, so why am I wrong? And how could this really turn into a bad position if I pile more money into this, even though I'm ahead? And you're always kind of got your guard up for being wrong. And I think that that's really important for people to develop that skill, especially if you're new to the markets. And, if you've been investing since 2010, all you kind of know is that the market goes up. So I would tell those people to be very careful and to really kind of start asking themselves, how could I be wrong?
That's it. Preston and I will continue explaining investing, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button.